Hello, hello. It's time for another coffee and conversation. And I am so excited to press buttons and not know what they do. No, I'm just kidding. So I'm so excited to invite a good friend of mine who I met through the Miss Kansas organization to come in and talk a little bit about all the wonderful things that she's doing and all of the exciting ways that she's changing the world. So please pause as I figure out how to get her in here. There we go. More drum roll. No. There we go. Hello.
There I am. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just really grateful for this opportunity to speak with you. So thank you
Yeah,
for
I'm so
thinking about
excited.
me.
Yes, I'm so excited to catch up with you and hear about what you're doing and help share what you've been up to because I think it's really important. So before we get too far,
hmm
will you just introduce yourself and tell people why you're cool? Because I think you're fantastic and I want everyone to know you. So
Yes, of course. So my name is Regan, and I am an aspiring entrepreneur. I went to UMKC to study communications, and right now I am really taking initiatives to advocate for those who've experienced domestic violence by partnering with Safe Home. Safe Home is a local domestic violence shelter in Johnson County, and it serves so many individuals through counseling, safety, like being able to leave your situation in a safe environment. We also offer shelters and we also offer legal advice. So, and it's all free, which is really amazing.
that is fantastic. And you're one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you today and this month is because it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So can you kind of unpack what that means and why maybe October is a good time to talk about it or what's so special about right now?
Yeah, so this is a time for us to really hear the voices of those who've experienced domestic violence because what I've noticed is that domestic violence comes in waves, but it's not something that we really get to highlight unless it's in the media with a celebrity. So it gives those who've experienced it and those who you may not know and those who you do know the opportunity to be advocated for. And I don't want to just be a voice. I really want to pass the microphone and allow them to share their stories. And one way I'm doing that is, by partnering with Safe Homes so that those individuals can be granted the opportunities to live in freedom and have resources that are available to help them out.
I'm just typing learn more about Safe Home as the
Yes,
pinned comment. It's Safe Home KS, right?
yes, it is.
On Instagram. Okay, perfect. So, speaking of comments, while I'm making my own and awkwardly shaking my camera, if anyone has any questions as we go throughout this time, please feel free to engage with us. This is much of a conversation between Regan and I as it is with all of you because
Yes,
we're raising awareness and we're talking about things that we're passionate about. So, I really
absolutely.
I really admire that this is something that you're advocating for. Actually, just yesterday, I know you and I had set up this talk about a week and a half ago. But
Absolutely.
just yesterday, I was speaking to someone who had been in a domestic violence situation, and we talked about
Wow.
her bravery in um, leaving the
Mm-hmm.
situation, finding the resources she needed, and kind of her journey. And um, it was emotional. It was
Yes,
hard and the most brave thing that she's ever done. And thinking about it, it it really sucks how prevalent domestic violence is.
it
So
is.
can you share some facts and figures just to give people, if they've never heard of this before, if they're not familiar with domestic violence as a phenomenon, just kind of share some facts to talk about it?
Yeah, so just alone in Johnson County in 2020, 1,793 domestic violence cases were called to the police department. And when you think about Johnson County, it's not that large of a county. So a lot of people think of Johnson County and it's like this JOCO bubble. It's a lot of wealthy individuals that live in this community. And it shows that domestic violence doesn't discriminate. It doesn't matter what your race is, what your religion is, what your cultural beliefs is. It can happen to anyone, just like we experienced with the domestic violence. And one thing I did learn is that during the pandemic, domestic violence rates were just as high as COVID rates were because a lot of people were stuck at home with their spouses or their significant others. So they didn't have that outlet to get out of their homes. And that's why domestic violence right now to me is so important. It's an important thing to talk about regardless, but it's at the forefront of the conversation and we need to keep discussing it so that we can come up with healthy solutions for individuals to leave that, or they choose to stay, but just being that support for them regardless of what they choose to do. And for my social impact, for our on-stage question, one of the judges did ask me about it, and I was able to share how, 75% of women are at risk of losing their life when they take that initiative to leave their partner. So to me, you got to make it personable and think about this could be your mother, your sister, a teacher. You just never know who could be experiencing something. So that's why at Safe Home, we have this initiative of Be the Love and just really just showing love to anyone that you encounter. Because at the end of the day, we all are experiencing something and we need the help. And that's what Safe Home is here to do.
That's fantastic. So can you tell me about a couple of the resources that Safe Home offers? You've mentioned a couple of them, but if someone is watching this either live or on repeat later or listening to it on the podcast, can you share some resources to say this is some way that you can get help or you can help support?
Absolutely. So right now, one of the best ways you can support our initiative is by donating to the link that's in my bio. I have a personal goal of raising $250 because I'm just an overachiever, but my initial goal is $100. So that resource will go to fund everything that we do at Safe Home. And Safe Home is it's a nonprofit, so everything we provide is free. So one of those is legal aid. So say you're in a situation with a partner and you need to get out of it, but you don't have the funds to get a lawyer. Safe Home has a lawyer on staff that can walk you through the process to get out of that situation. We also have an exit plan, which is really just walking through the procedures that you need to go through to leave your situation safely. And we also offer counseling, which is free. And a lot of people don't know that. Like Safe Home provides the best counseling that anyone, I believe, can receive. I know some individuals that just come just to speak with the counselors just so that they can get the help or the confidence to leave, or just, have someone to talk to. And then the final one is we also have a shelter. So families can come and live there and get the necessary guidance to get ready to leave and go back to life as it should be.
That's fantastic. And you're in Johnson County, Kansas, which is the upper northeast corner of our wonderful rectangular state.
Yes.
And so for those of you who may be tuning in that are closer to South Central Kansas, which is where I'm at, near Wichita, Wichita also provides free counseling and therapy services for any individual who resides in Wichita. So I'll post about that a little bit later, but especially this year, especially with the pandemic and everything that's going on, I want everyone to prioritize mental health. I go to a therapist and it's something that I prioritize. So you don't have to be in a domestic violence situation to seek help like counseling, but if you are, that's an excellent avenue to get connected to resources in your area too. So shameless plug for mental health counseling resources, especially free ones. But your fundraiser, I'm really excited about that. So you said you can go to the link in your bio. For those of us who aren't on Instagram, what's the website that we can plug in?
The website, we can just go to safehome.com, safehomekansascity.com. And then there's also, during the month, there's a lot of initiatives going on through Safe Home. So ours is specifically the Young Professional Board. But then there's also ones where if you go to beauty brands in our community, you can give back there. And then also Kendra Scott is amazing on the plaza. So we're doing that as well. So there's a lot of ways to give back. And I like to say that you don't have to give this large amount of money. Any amount makes a difference for just one person or multiple families that are experiencing this.
Absolutely. What is that? Change for change, like penny change for change?
Yes.
Every cent counts. So if you're interested, be sure to go follow her after the live. Don't leave, because then you won't get to hear all the other cool things we say.
You.
Exactly. But after this, go follow Miss Honey Moolah on Instagram, my good friend Regan, and check out her fundraiser, check out the resources that she's sharing, and also follow Safe Home Kansas. So you mentioned something earlier about social impact initiative, and we connected through the Miss Kansas organization. So can you kind of explain to someone who maybe isn't familiar with the Miss Kansas organization, why you got to talk about that on stage? What came up? How do you get to talk about these facts and figures on a stage?
Yes. So one of the phases in the Miss Kansas competition is your social impact initiative statement, which I believe was just added when I joined this previous year. And it really allows you the opportunity to advocate on something that you're passionate about. So for me, I chose domestic violence because I had this journal and I had wrote down a lot of social economic issues that were going on in the state of Kansas, and locally as well as nationally. And I realized that domestic violence did not get the attention that it deserved because it's something that happens, but unless it's being reported by the media, we don't know about it. So, since I was in school for communications, I had this grand idea of starting a talk show with the technology company that sponsored me. So, I was just like, hey, I had this great idea of sharing the stories of those who've experienced domestic violence. And at first, I was like, ooh, that's a little personal. I don't know if anybody's going to want to sit down and share their story. And to my surprise, when I just started asking individuals if they know anyone, they started listing powerful women who had just walked out of their situations or are, taking that necessary healing. And I was like, maybe they'll want to share their story. So I reached out to these women and was able to talk on one-on-one with them for about 30 minutes to talk about solutions on how we can really not just curb what domestic violence is, but really bring about awareness of what it truly is, because it's not just physical. There's a lot more that goes into it. And I wanted to hear stories, because you can talk facts all day, but until you hear someone's story, like you said earlier, it hits and it makes you want to do something about what's going on in our nation.
Absolutely. How can we watch those? Where can
Yes.
we find them?
So it's right now it's being developed. So it's a technology company by the name of Slickit, and our goal is to create apps for everyone. So I'm in the process of getting my app created to be in that Google Play and Apple Store. So once my app is created, it'll be housed on there so that I can have just this ownership to not worry about being censored, because these stories are so important to me, and I want them to be shared in the light to where everyone can see them no matter where they are.
Absolutely. Now I have to talk about the intersection of technology and advocacy. Those are some of my
Yes,
favorite things. And
absolutely.
I love that you're making it something that's accessible to people, because
Yes.
just about everyone, there was a survey that went out at the beginning of the pandemic about who has access to internet at home, who has a cell phone, who has a
Yes.
smartphone. And I think it said something like 87%. I need to make sure that that's the right number, but it was in the upper 80s that
That's low.
80%, 87% of Americans have smartphones. And while that's not everyone, that is a
Hmm.
huge chunk and a huge opportunity to make resources accessible,
Yes.
make these stories accessible. So I admire that you're fusing something that you really enjoy, entrepreneurship and technology, with the advocacy that you're so passionate about, and being
Yes.
able to merge them together to do this. So what what made you decide, oh, I'm gonna partner with this tech company, I'm gonna build an app? Like what
Yeah.
got you there?
So one of my close friends had a meeting with the owner, and I just so happened to just be there. And then he just started speaking. The owner started speaking to me and asking me like kind of what I was in and what I was doing. And then from there, they started having these weekly meetings, and I started to attend them, and I just became a part of their little family. And I started to share with them that I had this dream of competing for Miss Kansas, and I didn't know if I could do it or what it was going to look like, but that I had to come up with something that was unique and original. And they said, we want to be a part of it. And they've been partnering with me ever since. And this was about, I want to say 2 years ago. So my talk show has gone through some upgrades over the past 2 years. And I think that's the really amazing thing about technology. It's always changing. And I'm just grateful to be a part of a team and a legacy that's doing something that's never been done before.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned that it's taken 2 years so far.
Yes.
I think that's something, especially if we're talking about the Miss America organization and finding your passion project that you're going to advocate for. I feel
Absolutely.
like a lot of people are like, oh, it has to be the most perfect version of my social impact initiative on day one, and it's going to
Right.
be great. And that's not what it's really like, right? Like that's
No.
not life at all. Everything takes iterations and failures and learning to overcome the obstacles and being patient when it comes to partnerships and learning how to
Yes.
grow and evolve and fold in business plans and all of those things. And so if you're interested in the Miss America organization and you're thinking about competing and you're like, I have no idea what to do,
Yes.
my advice is to pick the thing that you're most frustrated by in the world,
Yes.
like that thing you mentioned, you journaled and it was something
Mm-hmm.
that connected with you personally,
Yeah.
and you were like, this is what I want to fix. If I could do anything, this is it. And
Yep.
then be okay with the fact that it's going to take time, right? Like
It does.
you got to find your team, your family,
Yeah.
and the resources, and it will eventually come.
Yeah.
So I kind of got off on a little.
No, I'm glad you brought that up because being my first year competing in this organization, I had no idea where to start because you can get on social media and be a little intimidated with women who have been working diligently on their social impact and be like, oh my God, mine doesn't look like hers, or wow, she has so many resources. What am I like? How am I even going to do this? And you just have to take a step back and be like, this is my journey. This is my race. This is me against me. And I think that's a beautiful thing about the Miss Kansas organization is that they really want us to focus on ourselves and become the best version of ourselves so that we can really represent the Sunflower State in the true magnitude that it deserves to be represented.
I love that. That was so eloquently put because that's really what the Miss America organization is, right? A
Yes.
professional and personal development program. Like, it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't matter if you win the big shiny hat at the end of the day. Like,
Absolutely.
what you do is what you're putting forward into the universe, what you're doing in your community, and what
Mm-hmm.
progress you're making and skills you're developing to help you further on down the line, right? Because eventually you're gonna
The
age out of the Miss
system.
America organization, right? Like, there's gonna be times when you're like, oh, this isn't my goal anymore.
Right.
Is everything that I've done worth it? Did I make a
Absolutely.
difference? Did I get to do the things that I wanted to do? And how can I leverage those skills and experiences into my next job, like into my
Absolutely.
next goal? And that's
Mm-hmm.
really, I believe, is what the heart of the Miss America organization is about.
You're right. You hit it right on the nail because it's not just walking away with the crown, but because like our hearts are our true crowns. It's what we get to carry every single day, and it's our passions that we get to share with those who we encounter, and that's what I've valued. And even like having my first experience in Pratt, Kansas, like I already felt like I had won because I looked at my journey and how far I had come, and just couldn't believe that I was able to do everything that I did. But it takes those resources, those connections, and that faith and just trusting the process.
Absolutely. So you mentioned the things that you've done. So you've got this
Mm-hmm.
talk show. Remind us again how we can watch it once it comes out.
Yes, so I'm gonna have a talk show. It's gonna be under Slay with Ray, SLAY with an RAE, and it's gonna be in the App Store. And you'll just search that, and then it'll pop up my face, and you'll download it, and then there'll be a little interaction for you to click on videos, and you'll click on videos, and you'll see all my content that I've created thus far.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yes.
And someone did ask, do you happen to know of any resources for those outside of Kansas? My guess is this is talking about domestic violence,
Yeah.
resources and opportunities to both help and get help.
Yes, one thing I do know is that on the Missouri side, we have Rosebrooks. It's another domestic violence shelter, and they're phenomenal. I've been able to reach out to them a few times and also take some courses just so I can understand the heart of domestic violence. And there is also another one, I believe it's called Hope House. I
Okay.
know Hope House is a good resource as well. But one thing I had to do to find the correct shelter for me to really get involved with is I had to just research and just do a good quick Google search and say domestic violence shelters near me that need help or need resources, and they will pop up and generate on your screen.
Okay, so for those of you who are watching this on live or on repeat or listening on podcast form, definitely do a search in your Google history, to just see, or in Google, not Google history, in Google, to see different opportunities to help in those areas. And there's also different hotlines and services that you can call
Yes.
if you're looking for assistance and you don't know
Mm-hmm.
what your next step should be. So that's pretty ubiquitous across the country. There are
Yep.
opportunities in each state, just like Safe Home in Kansas,
Yes.
that you can get connected to. And if you need help doing that research or you don't know what to Google, reach out to one or both of us, and we're happy
Yes.
to help you in that way.
Absolutely.
So, right, is there any like thing I haven't asked you that you're like, oh, I have to talk about this, and I'm so excited? Or
I One thing I will say is I've been talking to my mentor, who actually was a survivor of domestic violence, and she was really just bringing to my attention the forgiveness that has
mm,
to go on in domestic violence. for the individual who experienced it, and then also forgiving your partner. And that's something that I want to bring to light, because that is a part of the healing process. Is you don't want to just have all that bitterness built up to what happened to you. You want to be able to let go it and release it, and then transform that into purpose to help others who are in another experience like you experienced. So that's one thing that I want to shine a light on, is just the process of healing through domestic violence, because you have some cases where someone is able to leave, and then you have other cases where they choose to stay. And I am a support of whatever works for those who are in those circumstances, because until you've experienced it, you really can't say what is right or wrong for the person. You just want to be that support for them and that resource.
Absolutely. And it kind of ties back in that healing process is just
Hmm.
like finding your passion project, right? Like it's not going to happen night one. It's
No.
it's a healing process that takes time, and that's what resources like Safe Home, they got the whole span
Yes.
from legal aid to therapy and everything in between to help that healing
Absolutely.
process and facilitate it. So
Yes.
another plug, follow them.
Yes, they're amazing. I love everything that Safe Home offers, and I just think it's amazing that it's been able to evolve over the years and really break the cycle of domestic violence, because that's the goal. Is you don't want it to continue. We don't want it to keep going for the next generation. And that's why I'm so passionate, because I do want to teach young women, teach young men how to develop healthy relationships and set those boundaries, and just really knowing your worth and having self-love.
That's such a gem, and so fantastic that you know relatively early in your life that that's what you're supposed to do. So
Yes.
how what advice would you give to someone who maybe is like, this is fantastic, I want to find my passion, I want to find my purpose? I know that's a
Yes.
hard question to answer because
Yeah.
everyone's different, but do you have any advice for someone who may be looking to see how they can make a positive impact?
Yes. I really truly believe it goes back to, what are you frustrated with that's taking place in America? What is something that you feel you have the resource for to bring about a change? And that's really what entrepreneurship is all about, is, coming up with solutions for problems that are taking place in our nation. And I truly believe that we all have a, a given purpose, and we have something to give to this world. And that is what my social impact, you are mega, is all about. You're a messenger, you're enough, you're a gift, and you're able. So finding what you are great at and gifted at, and then pursuing it 100% and enjoying the process of failing and learning, because that is where the true beauty of your social impact or your passion will develop.
Absolutely. Failing and learning from those failures is something I feel like
Yes.
I talk about every day because it's still something I experience every day, right? Like we all
Yes.
have obstacles, and what
Mm-hmm.
matters in life is how you choose to overcome them and how you choose to respond to them. And if you're willing to learn from those failures or if you're just going to give up, right? Like that's what
Yes.
defines us as humans. And so, and that I believe that's what defines us as humans. And so,
Yes.
being able to get comfortable with that failure, comfortable with the chaos that ensues after not knowing what to do, and being able to
Absolutely.
grow each time through it. So that I think that
Yes.
hit the nail on the head when it comes to entrepreneurship because
Uh-huh.
that's how do you make an impact? That's entrepreneurship. That's what Miss
Yes.
America is about. That's what passion projects are about. Fill in
Yeah.
anything. It's really how can you use your skills to help the world. So
Yes.
I love that you're already doing that. I love that you've been working towards that. And what's next for you? I know entrepreneurs sometimes can't do just one project.
No, you
So
can't.
what?
There's so much going on. So since I've been able to be fortunate enough to have such an amazing pageant coach who's helped me get ready for the Miss Kansas pageant, which took place in July, I have taken the initiative to start consulting with little mamas who do not have the resources available to start being in the pageant system, because pageants can be expensive. They're not accessible to everyone, and I really want to give what I was given, so that other young girls can start walking in their purpose and realizing that pageantry is not just about glitz and glam. It's about finding that one thing that you're passionate about and pursuing it and just allowing it to develop over the time. So I am working with a little mama right now, and it's so fun. She's brilliant, she's smart, and she loves everything about pageants. And I really just got to teach her that pageantry is not what's on the outside, but it's what's on the inside, really shining out. And she kind of just looked at me really confused. And I'm just like, I know it's weird to think about, but that's really what it's about.
I love that. I love that so much. So how can people get in contact with you if they're interested, or just follow your journey? How can we follow you?
Yes, you can follow my social media handle, Miss Honey Moolah. I'm on here, and you can honestly just direct message me, and I can discuss anything and everything. We can have a meeting through Zoom or FaceTime, whatever works for the client. I'm here to be that asset. So I'm really excited for that project to take off because I just know how valuable it is to really start developing those goals and those dreams at a young age so that they can continue to manifest into something bigger and better that we need right now in this generation.
Absolutely. It goes back to that professional and personal development. How can you use your skills to impact the world? So I love that you're
Yes.
pouring into the next generation and helping them. I feel so blessed to have been able to find my passion so early in life. And then
Yes.
I think about all the young ones who could even start their journey earlier and the impact that they can make in the world. So I love that you're
Absolutely.
doing that. I love that you're going out
Yes.
and finding those the little hearts to shine a light on.
Yes. Because that's what it's about, really cultivating the next generation. And that's what Safe Home, our board, Young Professional Board, is all about. We're all just here trying to advocate at a young age and just realizing that we can make a difference.
That's so perfect. That's so
Yes.
so I feel like we covered a whole bunch of information, but is there any final thoughts that you want to say that you're like, gotta plug this resource or want to say this or I thought of something?
I just want to say be unapologetic because a lot of times we can get a little nervous to share our stories or feel like we won't be supported. And I am an advocate for people sharing their stories. Having been someone who's gone to school and has learned the resources on how to share effective stories, I just want people to know that it doesn't matter what technology you're using, just speak and tell your truth.
What a fantastic way to end that. I love the idea of storytelling and the effect it has on
Hmm.
people. So being just going out there and doing it, going out and sharing your truth because it will connect with someone. And it may
Yes,
take a day or a year or 2 years, but the
yes,
story is what connects us as humans and what helps us again
yeah,
share our talents. So I love that. I love that so much. So everyone
yes,
watching, make sure to go follow Regan and also Safe
yeah,
Home Kansas. And if you have
absolutely.
the means, please consider donating to the fundraiser to help continue their efforts of providing free resources for those who are seeking assistance when it comes to their domestic violence situation. So check that out. It's in her bio. I pinned it right down there, and I'll put it in the um, you know bio summary after this goes
Yeah.
onto IGTV, so you can check out all the resources there. And I'll plug a couple national resources too for those of you who are tuning in from outside of Kansas and Missouri.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having a conversation with me today, Regan.
Thank you. It was so good to connect with you, and I'm excited to see everything that you continue to do because you're phenomenal and you are mega to me.
Oh, that made my heart so happy. What a beautiful Sunday affirmation. Thank you. Thank you
Yes,
for being here,
absolutely.
and I'm so grateful for you.
Yes, same to you. I'll see you. My headphone just came out.
Oh no.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just really grateful for you, and I'm just continue to be that light.
Thank you. You too.
Yes. Bye, girl.
Bye.